So Stephanie, we've had a bunch of cases where officers have called us up and said, hey, look, I'm facing an SSRB. What is that? And I'm like, well, so it's a board, it's a special selection review board where there's issues like misconduct or adverse findings that the board who selected them for promotion did not see. And now it's been brought to the attention of HRC or some other authority, and they're like, hey, you need to have a relook with the board now looking at this particular adverse action. Have you dealt with those in the Guard?
I have not dealt with them in the Guard, but I have dealt with a few active duty ones. The first one that I actually got involved in was not as an attorney, it was as a friend. And so I was able to submit, I helped a friend, I wrote a character letter for her to submit to her SSRB, which worked out for her because she was eventually able to get promoted.
So the Special Selection Review Board, their purpose is to make sure that only officers of exemplary conduct are retained in the military. And so if you've been selected for promotion, but now you're facing an SSRB to keep that promotion, you have certain rights. And those rights are, you're allowed to look at that adverse information and present information in response to the SSRB. And so what are some of the things that somebody would submit in a packet responding to a notice of SSRB?
So I think it depends on why you're submitting to the SSRB. I think that's the first question to answer. What is the obstacle that you're trying to overcome? And then what led to that certain event, right? Because the standard that they go by is that there's credible adverse information, which is a pretty low standard, right? So was there a 15-6 investigation or some kind of command-directed investigation that led to this adverse information, or how was this information found? And then once you know that, is this information that I need to rebut? Is it information I need to explain? Or is it information that I need to acknowledge happened, was a difficult time in their life or in their career, and then prove to the SSRB that they should still be promoted because of exemplary character, exemplary service outside of this one incident, and the capacity to continue serving.
Absolutely, right. And what we've discovered is with an effective SSRB, it depends on the circumstances, right? And that's why you would need to consult with some type of legal advice, military lawyers who've dealt with these SSRBs, because we'll be able to look at the situation and go, hey, your best course of action is this: accepting responsibility, asking for forgiveness, or your best course of action saying, hey, this isn't a violation, and making a legal argument. As the person who's facing the SSRB, you may not know which is your best course of action, and that's why you should seek legal counsel. Whether you should address the accuracy of what that information is or attack that accuracy depends on the facts and circumstance.
Correct. And I think something else that's really important with SSRBs is to make sure that not only your attorney, but the people around you and the people you select to help submit a packet for you can really speak to who you are as a service member, as an officer or soldier, airman, what have you, and that you have an attorney that can really help craft that as the best way possible to kind of appease to the audience, right? And know what type of officer is serving on the SSRB, and really what they're looking for in order to make their decision that this person should still be promoted.
Right, and we've discovered this, that if whatever led to that adverse action, if the soldier or the airman, whomever, but the soldier has not given a statement up to that point, it is always good for them to provide a statement as to what had happened. And so in crafting that statement, you shouldn't just go off kind of half-cocked and write out a statement. You would need legal advice as to how to properly frame and address those issues. And again, if there are extraordinary circumstances, as you mentioned earlier, those should be mentioned. But the thing that I think unadvised SSRB packets fail to often mention about the potential for growth, the potential for improvement, and what that individual has done to improve themselves since the incident.
Correct. And I think a lot of times that's what the SSRB officers are looking to hear. And also, like you said, when it comes to the information that's before them, you can honestly take the same set of facts and tell two different stories, but you need to have an attorney that knows how to tell a different story. And so I think it's really important to make sure you have a lawyer who understands, how to move forward with this, the best way to craft the best possible, submission to the SSRB, and ensure that, whatever obstacle you're facing, the end goal is to get that person promoted.
And why this is really important is what I call the double whammy effect. And that is, you're facing an SSRB for misconduct that happened while you were at that lower grade. Let's say you're getting promoted to lieutenant colonel. It's held up by an SSRB because of something that happened while you're a major, and you don't get picked up. They're like, okay, you don't get to get promoted to lieutenant colonel. When you then retire, you then go before the Army Grade Determination Review Board, and those guys will look at that same misconduct and determine whether or not you served honorably or whether you should be reduced to the lower rank. So if you don't effectively respond to an SSRB and get promoted, that can come back and have a second look at the Army Grade Determination Review Board, which is all the reason why you should hire a lawyer when you're talking about your promotions. We are the law office of Will M. Helixon. We are your warrior advocates. You defend the nation, we defend you.